Well, hello there and welcome to a new year and a new series of Midweek Memos. It looks a little bit different for perhaps not entirely unsurprising reasons. We are back behind our screens, as I know so many of you are, and it's wonderful to have Natasha joining me on the first of these Midweek Memos for the year, and fantastic to be coming to you despite our isolation through the wonders of technology. Now, as we begin this year, I was encouraged by Natasha to think through, can we have a verse for the year? And what better way to start the new year than we're anchoring ourselves in Scripture? So this midweek memo, I'd love to share with you our verse for the year. And it is, Natasha, tell us, what is our verse for the year?
Well, John, hello. Our
Hello.
verse of the year is taken from the book of Ephesians, which we will be continuing to look at throughout this coming year. And so when Steph and I were looking for a verse that could really be a verse that our church could hold on to this year, we were looking at the first few chapters of Ephesians, and we landed on verse 16 of chapter 4 in Ephesians. And let me read that, this wonderful verse. It's packed full of good stuff. And this is how it goes. From him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work. So it's a verse, it's full, but it's also a powerful verse for us to hold on to as a church. Now,
Natasha, thank you so much for making this suggestion. I thought it was brilliant. I think it ties in with so many things. Tell us, you've given us a bit of the background of why you've chosen this, but would you help us just pull out some of the key things for us as we start this new year of why you've chosen it?
So I think that probably our whole sense at the moment is feeling very isolated from each other and yet seeking to be connected. And as you know, over the last few months, we've been working on that, the relationship of the isolation moving to being connected as a church and building our relationships through that. And this verse does talk about all those things. And I would highlight particularly at the start of this year, the start of the verse, which talks about the fact that it says from him. So everything comes from God, and everything else comes out of that. And he is the start. He is the starting point from him. And then it talks about the whole body. So it's not bits left out. It's not just some of the body. It's the whole body that's joined and held together. And then
beautiful language of connection, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That kind of every supporting ligament.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you were part of not just our preparations for Christmas, but thereafter as well. I think we learned something amazing after Christmas. Tell us a little bit, for those who weren't there, what went on?
Well, the amazing Kings and others put together a week of post-Christmas activities. And this is a time, this post-Christmas week, which can be extremely hectic in normal life. But this year was probably going to be a very empty and lonely and isolated time for many. And so a program was put together of activities which were working to connect people and build relationship. And they did a great job of that. Many people were reached. Each day started with a devotion, which was a really strong point of feeling as if, as a church family, we can still come together through Zoom and just pray together and focus on God at the start of each day. And then there were suggested walks and evening activities, which were more relationship building as a church. And those were very successful and very rewarding, I think, for everyone.
And I think we all share this sense of actually. We can relate to one another. We can be in relationship. I've got in my mind, we spent a lot of time talking about isolation to connection last term. I think in my mind, isolation to connection to relationship. We had people coming online for stuff after Christmas saying, I've never felt this connected to people, the church family before.
It's very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting how, none of us want to be doing this via screens. And yet this is still a way in which we can connect with each other and we can still meet up. And it's a good way to build relationship in the circumstances.
So I want to say, let's embrace that verse. Thank you for choosing it. Thank you for putting it out there. We've got a year to be thinking about all the different parts of it, and there's loads of it. Particularly right now, let's be thinking how we start from him, and let's be thinking how we can be joined up and connected at this time. Mm-hmm. We are looking ahead. For want of a better way of thinking about it, I am thinking of the next period in terms of 2 40s, 40-40. Okay, it's basically 40 days to the beginning of Lent, and then it's another 40 days from then until Easter. Usually Lent is kind of the sort of wilderness thing. I think we've got wilderness kind of brought early, so we're kind of in our wilderness already. Whatever happens, who knows where we're going to be exactly at Easter? But what is going to happen at Easter, we are going to be celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and that is our greatest hope in all of this, isn't it? And I think we want as a church to encourage one another in these first 40 days and the 40 days after there to be connected. And I think in my own mind, there are 3 things that I'd really love to bring out there. Well, I tell you what, one of them you're going to tell me about, because you were there last night. What did we do last night?
So last night there was a prayer meeting, a fairly spontaneously held prayer meeting that involved, now I don't know how many people, but I know there were 46 screens of people, all joining together on Zoom to pray. And it was an amazingly connecting, but also special experience where we could really pour our hearts out to God about how we're feeling in this time of enforced wilderness, really. That it was really something which for us at the start of the year, moving forward, let's keep doing that. Let's keep pulling together in prayer.
So it was wonderful to start that way. There's another opportunity, and there will be many opportunities to come together in prayer. Tell us about what they are.
So every second week of the month, there is going to be prayer at the centre. It involves coming online for 1 hour. You will be given suggestions to pray. You will be put into breakout rooms where you are welcome to either pray out loud or just pray in your heart with the group. It's a very unifying experience. If you haven't done it before, do come along and try. There is always reasons in our life that come up for us not to pray, but whenever we make that effort to do it, God richly blesses us. And really, Amen. As a church, this will be a time of real unification through prayer, I think.
Amen to that. Amen. So we're looking forward to that first prayer at the centre of the year. We're happening every month on the second Wednesday of the month. That is in a week from now. So that's one way. Prayer, of course, connects us to the Lord and to one another. Second thing is evangelism. I've really been feeling burdened for this myself. We all feel a bit in retreat, don't we? But actually, the days that the Lord has given us to live are these days. We've got 40 days. We've got another 40 days after that until Easter. These are our lives. These are the days that the Lord has given us to live. It is not a time to put our lives on hold. It's not a time to put the Great Commission on hold. This is a great time to reach people with the gospel. And so I think we need to be praying that we are able to continue that work of connecting people to the Lord and the gospel. We've got Christianity Explored starting up at the end of the month. It's fantastic to be inviting people to that. And I know that you've been a big part of that Christianity Explored course. And I'm going to take this opportunity. I would love to invite loads of you in the church family to join us on Christianity Explored. Even if right now you're settled in your faith, if you don't know how this course works, it's hard to invite someone on something that you don't know how it works, isn't it? Come and join us and see how you can share your faith through that. Evangelism. And finally, I think service. I don't know about you, but one of the real challenges for me before Christmas was, I feel like my horizon has shrunk. Like just admin, just doing life is really difficult. But actually, the needs out there on the news are so much greater. And I think we've got a challenge, and it's a huge challenge for me personally, and I don't have all the answers. to think, how can we in these next 40 days, in the 40 days thereafter, 40-40, think, how can we still, even in our weakness, even with our kind of shrinking horizons, how can we look out to serve our community? What opportunities can we find to give and to serve into the needs that surround us? I think there are some amazing people in this church family who I'm seeing, already doing that. And that's part of life. And I want to learn from that. And I think we can all learn from each other there. So being connected, prayer, evangelism, service. But let's finish with where we started. How does the verse start, Natasha?
So the verse starts from him. And as you were talking just then about service, I was thinking that actually the only way we can get through at the moment, and the only way we can give out, is by being full of God. And so we talked about the prayer meeting, a time to be refreshed, but let's, as a church, pull together in him with our focus and our eyes on God to take us through each day, whatever it brings, and learn to be a church that is built in him.
Brilliant. Natasha, I wonder whether for the end of this memo, you would mind just reading out that verse for the year for us one last time.
Sure. So it is Ephesians chapter 4, and it's verse 16. From him, the whole body, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love as each part does its work.
Super. Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for coming and joining us on Midweek Memo. See you soon.
Bye.